Hey, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome. I make videos about kind of crunchy motherhood, lifestyle, and about going through secondary infertility, which actually brings me to the topic of today's video. 8 do's and don'ts of supporting someone going through infertility. If you do not know someone personally going through infertility, I am in no way suggesting that you need to walk on eggshells regarding pregnancy and children around everybody just in case they might be going through infertility. Based on what I've seen on the internet and social media, there are some people who feel like people going through infertility do expect that of everyone, but I would say that that is mostly not true. Infertility is an extremely difficult path to walk. And even though there are tons of videos, articles, and books about it, every person and every personal experience is so unique, and no one hands you a personalized navigating infertility handbook when you get diagnosed. And in the same vein, there is no rule book or handbook for supporting someone going through it either. As somebody who has a close friend going through infertility and has been trying for nearly 2 years for a second baby and has been diagnosed with unexplained infertility, I know on a really personal level, there can be a lot of wondering, should I ask this? Wondering if you should say anything at all, or perhaps saying something and not getting the reaction that you expected. I really hope if you have a close friend or family member going through infertility, this helps you feel like you can be there for them and support them without needing to overthink every single thing that you do or don't say. If you are someone who is going through infertility and you're watching this, hopefully this is validating for you. If you've maybe been wondering, am I being too sensitive, or that you potentially could even send this to someone, not in a why can't you be more like this kind of way, but in a loving, this kind of sums up what I need way. If you are a support person, you are amazing. I love that your friend or family member has someone who cares so much about them. Number 1, do ask if they prefer you to ask about updates and check in on them occasionally, or if they'd rather it be left up to them to decide if and when they want to talk about what they're going through. While someone might be one way in their normal life where everything is fine, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the same way regarding something that they're really struggling with. That being said, while you might feel like you're being extra attentive by asking questions and asking for updates, the person going through infertility might view that as prying or forcing them to talk about it when they really just want to not think about it for a while. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, there could be somebody else who would prefer that you ask questions and ask for updates because perhaps they feel weird bringing it up themselves. Just imagine that you're at coffee with a friend and you're having a good time, you're talking about lighthearted things. It can be really awkward to try to slide in there that your third IUI failed or something like that. I think this is just a really kind gesture that says, I know you're going through a really hard thing, and I want to make sure that I'm here to support you in the way that you need and not in the way that I think you need. Number 2, do empathize and validate how they're feeling about what they're going through. There's not really much to embellish on with this one. I think that it's a basic human desire to want to understand and in turn to be understood. So it is really healing when someone takes the time to listen to you and is just like, wow, I'm so sorry. That is such a hard thing to go through. Lead with empathy. I personally try to live my everyday life like that in general, but in these delicate circumstances, I think it's extra important. Don't try to make them feel better by sharing the things that they can do or the freedoms that they have because they don't have kids or because they don't have as many kids as they would like. Just enjoy sleeping in while you can. Be happy that you don't have to get up in the middle of the night to breastfeed a crying baby. Enjoy having 1 kid while you can, because once you have 2, it's pure chaos. I feel like these types of comments are made in an attempt to help the person feel better about their circumstances by trying to put it into perspective. But there's two things here. One is that there are so many struggles in life. We all have to pick and choose. The person at the other end of the table listening to you say that is probably like, I would love to have that struggle. I would be grateful to have that struggle. It kind of comes across as insensitive. And the second thing is that making those comments is actually the opposite of validating how they're feeling. It's kind of minimizing how they're feeling, because you're essentially saying you don't need to be as upset as you are. You should enjoy this time because you're not having to deal with any of these struggles. I'm not suggesting if you, for example, have a baby and your friend doesn't because they're going through infertility, that you shouldn't be able to talk or vent about motherhood at all. Relationships are a two-way street, or at least they should be, meaning that you have as much right to air out your grievances as your friend does. All I'm saying is that if you are going to vent about some of the challenges of parenthood, just keep it separate from what they're going through. The fourth thing is one of the most challenging things about interacting with other people regarding infertility, at least in my opinion, because I know this comes from like a good place. Okay, don't offer advice unless it is asked for. I know that people offer advice because they want to help. I obviously cannot speak for everyone going through infertility, but I feel like a lot of us are similar in that we have read hundreds of articles, we've watched the videos, we've read books. I've personally read 4 different books about fertility and infertility and pregnancy in the last 2 years. There is just so much information crammed up in here that at this point, no one has ever offered me up some piece of advice that I haven't already heard or read about. And it's tough because honestly, it does get kind of annoying, but you know that that person isn't offering you advice with a mean spirit. They're not offering you advice because they want to hurt you. They're saying it because they want to help you. And so you're just kind of like, yes, I've already tried that, or no, I don't need that supplement because I don't have this, or whatever. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I have done that before, just know that I don't expect someone who has not gone through infertility to understand how all-consuming it can be. So I'm telling you now, it can be all-consuming. It can easily take up every empty ounce of brain space that you have left. There was a period of time in the last year where if I was not doing anything, if I had any little bit of downtime, I was Googling what I could be doing, what I should be doing, what could be wrong, what symptoms do I have, like all kinds of things to try to pinpoint what is not happening that needs to happen to get pregnant. And I think that is at least semi-universal. So that is why it's frustrating when unsolicited advice is offered. I think the best thing you can do is listen to them, and then instead of offering advice if they're not asking for it, to offer a shoulder for that person to lean on or maybe to cry on. The fifth thing is if you or somebody else close gets pregnant, do tell your friend going through infertility more gently, possibly separately if you're gonna do a reveal in like a group setting, possibly through text message. I am so happy for people who are getting pregnant with like their second or third child. I bring this up because there is at least one instance I can think of in the last year where someone has texted me that they're pregnant and my initial reaction is to cry. It doesn't mean that I wasn't happy for them. In that moment, I felt overcome by devastation for myself that like, here's another person now getting pregnant while I'm still not pregnant. I just feel like it's nice to not put someone in a position where they have to try to maybe mask that in front of you or in front of other people. And I know that it might be difficult to think about telling someone who's maybe really close to you that you're expecting a baby via text. It just gives them time to process that news, to go through the different waves of emotions that they might need to go through so that when they do see you, they can feel 100% happy for you. The next thing is don't try to compare something that you've gone through that's not infertility to infertility in an attempt to say that you understand. So this is saying things like, oh yeah, it took me 8 months to get pregnant with my first, I understand. Or I had a miscarriage right before we got pregnant with our second, so I understand what you're going through. It's not to say that those two things don't come with their own challenges, especially a miscarriage. Like, I can only imagine. It's just to say that it's not the same as infertility. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you don't fully understand. Actually, a month or so ago, I'm already getting emotional just thinking about it. One of my best girlfriends left me a voice message. She had watched one of my videos, and I remember specifically something she said was, I don't fully understand what you're going through, but like, I'm so sorry. The fact that I'm getting emotional just kind of repeating what she said, I think is telling that it is meaningful when someone is able to admit, I don't completely get what you're going through, but I imagine that it is so hard and I'm sorry. It also doesn't mean that you shouldn't share your own experiences and your own challenges and how you got through them. Don't say that it's the same or that you understand exactly where they're coming from because of this thing that you went through over here. The seventh thing is do still invite that person to baby and child related events and let them know if they don't want to come that you completely understand. I'm hoping that I'm taking a load off of you if you've been like mulling over if you should invite your cousin going through infertility to a baby shower. Yes, you should. Infertility is such an isolating thing to go through. I just wouldn't want to see anyone being isolated further or being left out because of what they're going through. And it's very possible they might say, no, I'd rather just stay home, but at least then it's their choice. The last thing, it might be the thing that irks me the most. Don't offer up solutions like just do IVF or why don't you just adopt? First of all, if someone's going through infertility and they've been going through it for a while, I am almost certain that they are probably already pondering over all these different options themselves. Second, there is no just about those options. Those are the two that I've heard the most. I'm sure there are other ones, but IVF and just adopt are, I feel, very, very common. IVF is extremely expensive. It's a time-consuming process and it doesn't guarantee you a baby. I don't know a ton about adoption, but I'm pretty certain that there is also no just in adopt. It's expensive. It's also a time-consuming process, and similar to IVF, there is also no guarantee of ending up with a child at the end. Wanting to have your own biological children is a very normal thing to want. And if someone who doesn't have fertility issues was to walk into a room and say like, hey, we're gonna start trying for our second or third child, nobody in that room would be like, but why don't you just adopt? So I don't know why it's okay to say it to someone who's going through infertility, who's trying different things to have their own children. Just the truth of the matter is, if someone did decide to move forward with IVF as an example, it's probably not gonna be because you told them, why don't you just do that? It's something that they have to get to on their own because they've already tried X, Y, and Z, and that's where they've landed. It's a deeply personal decision. And I'm not just talking about adoption or IVF, I'm talking about IUI, getting more testing done, getting surgery done. Like there's so many things that have to be factored in, and that's why there is no just about any next step. I've kind of touched on this already, but please just keep in mind that every person's experience is so unique, and these are just general guidelines based on my own experiences. At the end of the day though, if you are coming from a place of empathy, non-judgment, and love, everything that I shared here should come relatively naturally, I think. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.